Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Beyond the Case, which is a podcast where global leaders from Harvard Business School's OPM community join in a personal capacity and they share the real lessons, life principles, and mental models that go behind building enduring companies. I have a very special guest today. His name is Pujit Aggarwal. And just a disclaimer at the start of the podcast, before we begin, here's a quick note. This conversation is not about revisiting any legal proceedings or on passing judgment. It's about understanding decisions, leadership, and the realities of building a company over time. So, for founders, builders, and operators, especially from the OPM community, this episode is intended as a space for reflection and learning. And as always, listeners are encouraged to form their own views. How are you, Pujit? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me
Yeah,
over.
absolutely. Pujit, do you want to just introduce yourself high level?
Yeah, basically, I'm a real estate developer, stayed in Mumbai, born in Haryana, and been a Mumbai boy for the last 50 years. And I've been in, food business, real estate business. Basic point is that I studied at Sydenham, did my commerce graduation. After that, I always had the yearning to do an MBA. I wasn't able to do one because I got busy with business and, Marwadis, so therefore got into action right away. In fact, when I was in college, I was working at the age of 19. I started working with my father. And after that, now the greatest point in my life I felt was when I did OPM. Well, I'm very senior to all of you all. I'm not in age, but in OPM. So I did my OPM in 2002 and finished it in 2004. That is OPM 33. So I'm amongst one of the senior boys. Jokes apart, that OPM, the learning that I, kind of sussed out was one of the greatest moments. In addition to that, I went ahead, made a public listed company, I got an IPO done when real estate, nobody was doing IPOs. So my IPO was in 2006, 2007. Best performing IPO, second best performing QIP. I've given maybe about 500 interviews on TVs, etc., etc. That period, 10 years, was great. Somehow, hard knocks of life came knocking, and I lost the company. Rebuilding second innings, and again in the space, I specialize in premium real estate in Mumbai, and the second innings is going good for me. So here I
Very
am.
great. Congratulations on that incredible journey. And so I want to ask you, when you look back at your career, what period do you think shaped you the most as a leader and why?
Well, you know, if you look back at a career of a businessman, and especially if, me, if you say, every 10 years has had a different facet. The first few years when you were in college and you're just beginning to get your feet, that's one learning. The second learning is, when I went to OPM, that was in 2002. That was a decade where I did a lot of introspective learning, a lot of things that I picked up. Then after that, when I did my QIP, the IPO and the QIP, that was brilliant. Those 10 years were gorgeous. The 10 years after that, when I lost everything and had to rebuild everything from scratch. So that was another beautiful learning. And now in my second phase, the next 10 years are going to be even more beautiful. So I guess there is nothing which has been brilliant, so to speak. I'm just building on every block as we move ahead.
Speaking about the 10 years where you lost everything, what was your mindset like when you were going through that journey of loss, introspection?
It's a very common question, that because I was a listed company and I was the darling of the markets, Orbit, our stock had done beautifully on the bourses. So I have been often asked that what happened, what went wrong. I guess it was a combination of three, four things. One was, the policy paralysis in real estate that kind of stemmed the entire rot. Secondly was the high cost debt. We got into high cost debt and we got into the debt trap. And of course, I wouldn't say hubris, but there was a certain amount of wrong decision making, that we were buying redevelopment plots which were low cost, low capital intensive. All of a sudden, we had money. So we said, okay, and we had access to debt. So we said, okay, let's go and acquire bigger plots, which are more expensive. So we went and started acquiring larger plots. I mean, So a combination of these two, three, four factors led to the problems at our end because of the projects not being under construction. Just to give you an example, you stay at near PNC Road, I stay at near PNC Road, and I was having 6 projects at near PNC Road going on simultaneously. 3 under construction, 3 were going to get into construction. And can you imagine that each of these projects was throwing out 1,000 to 12,000, 1,200 crores of revenue per project? And if those revenues get stalled for 3 years, 4 years, you can imagine the apathy which any developer would go through. So that basically led to the cash flow mismatch, not being able to service the debt, and therefore getting into deeper and deeper issues.
And outside of financials, what are the mindset like when you were going through this, right? Like, how did you find the will to get out of bed every day and
So
just
you're
continue
right.
going
You're
ahead?
right. That's actually was your question. That what was your mindset when you actually were going through all of these things? So as far as I'm concerned, it was like this, that I kind of took it head on, and I realized that there was nothing that could be done, but you have to own the issue, you have to own the problem, and you have to accept that there's something that needs to be fixed. So therefore, I accepted it, took it on my chin, and during the toughest moments, felt as if, like, or rather, I made myself believe, which was really true, and which is what actually got me through, is that I'm on a pilgrimage, like when you're going to Mount Kailash. And you're going through the tough times, and you're used to all the luxuries in life. But when you're on a pilgrimage, especially to Mount Kailash, at that point of time you go through all the difficulties, all the obstacles, and something that you have not encountered before and not seen. So I set myself on a pilgrimage. I said, this is my pilgrimage, and this is how I'm going to take care of
Right. So, going to your business, what drew you originally to the real estate development business in a market which is as complex as Mumbai? And you mentioned policy paralysis in your previous response. So, could you just give us to why you felt there was still an opportunity in real estate in Mumbai?
No, see, Mumbai basically is such a dynamic market. Is the one thing I've realized in my 32 years of experience in real estate in Mumbai is that whatever you make sells. It's a it's a it's a different point that what price it will sell at, what point it will sell at, but it sells. So that is the ultimate thing, because the requirement for real estate in Bombay has always been huge and will always remain huge. Uh, Largely because of the population, largely because of the dynamics of the population. A person who's staying in a 4 bedroom house will look at a 6 bedroom house. Back then, when we were buying our houses, or our parents were buying our houses, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 square feet was the norm. Now 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 12,000 square feet is the norm. So therefore, the requirement for real estate is very high. So I kind of always believed that in Mumbai, the requirement is high. So therefore, anything will sell. How I went about all of this is that real estate was part of my family business, which I inherited when I was in college. A very interesting story over here is, when I was in college, my mom would give me 1,250 rupees as my pocket money, and our expenses going to RGs and going to the nightclubs and all those things. You'd spend more than 1,500 rupees every night. So incidentally, what happened was that my kaka, my chacha, was running a real estate business, and the building was called Pujit Plaza, and we were making a building in New Bombay. So he said, "Acha Pujit, let's do one thing. I know you're always short of money. Why don't we kind of incentivize you? You sell some offices in this building, and instead of 1% brokerage, I'll give you 2% brokerage." And that's what, at the age of 18, I started selling offices over there in Pujit Plaza, and I started making 4,000 5,000 rupees a month. And that's how, I would make the extra pocket money on the side, and go to the nightclubs and enjoy myself. So that is what incentivized me, and that's how I actually got into real estate. So basically, it's been family business, but I've been kind of thrown it on the deep side.
Just building on that question, you mentioned your uncle incentivized you when you were quite young. Do you think that is a model you would be tempted to replicate with your next of kin, where you throw them in the real world with decision making, where you say, hey, there's an incentive for you at the end of the road if you deliver on what you have to? Or do you think you'd rather put them through a more structured approach where they go out there, find something, work with someone, etc., and then
Bro, in as far as the next gen is concerned. I'll do whatever it takes to get them into the business. So whether it is to incentivize them or whether it is to give them a structured approach, it's up to them. To be very honest, I would love to have them with me. Uh, and my daughter, I'm so happy to tell you that about a week, 10 days back, she has decided that she is going to be part of this journey with me in real estate. At least that's what she's saying right now. So I'm hoping and praying that that continues. My son, he's studying at Emory in Atlanta. Hopefully, he will also come back. He feels that India is the place where there is a big opportunity. So he's certainly going to come back. I'm hoping that he comes back and joins the family business, but he has it open for him that he can do whatever he feels like doing.
So, Orbit became known for premium housing in South and Central Mumbai. Why did you focus on these locations? What was the thesis behind?
There was lack of housing available in South and Central Mumbai, especially in South Mumbai, because if somebody wanted a 5,000 to 6,000 square feet apartment, they had to join three apartments and make that into a 5,000 to 6,000 square feet apartment. So at Nepean Road, when I launched my first project, this was in 2004, I made the apartment 6,000 square feet. So it was single floor plate, 6,000 square feet. We sold it in as super built up, 7,500, 8,000 square feet. And that was a hit. And people started loving that. The second thing, which was quality. Typically, everybody in the real estate business would only look at the bottom line. I always went beyond the bottom line, against my father's wishes, and every day I would get a earful. Even today, I get it. The fact of the matter is that we started making our buildings with stainless steel rebars. Most of these buildings which were there were made with mild steel. I started making it with stainless steel. Every window that we used, I'm talking about 2004, Sohim. And in 2004, the windows that we were using were quadruple glazed windows as against double glazed. Most developers would tom, oh, they're using double glazed, but we were using quadruple glazed. So much so that the cost of just windows in 2004 for each building per floor was 1 crore rupees. So 1 crore a flat, because it was on flat a floor, 1 crore just for the windows, because those are the quality of windows that we're using. So we had some path breaking initiatives that we did. We also had some other good initiatives that we did, such as, Mumbai has a lot of precipitation, rainfall. So we started giving 20-year warranty for leakages. All these things were really appreciated by our consumers in South Mumbai, and they started giving us a better value. So I was getting a 20% pop premium over my competitors. I knew the market. I have been a Bombay boy, grown up in South Bombay, so the market was well understood by me, and the redevelopment opportunity presented itself very, very nicely over here, because there were so many old buildings, old chawls, old bungalows, etc., etc. I somehow developed the knack to acquire them, clean it off its issues of tenants, other issues, whatever were there, regulatory. And I was very successful in terms of being able to do that. The other reason why I found South Mumbai and Central Mumbai as a very premium market is because I used to go to BMC myself, and when I would go to BMC myself, I would realize that these are the issues and this is how we can overcome them. And some of these BMC offices were in South Mumbai and Central Mumbai. So when you go to these places and when you visit them personally, you get a real idea of how things are.
And you've sort of touched on my next question a little bit in your introduction, but as your company started scaling, I'm sure the complexity increased and it was moving faster than you could keep up. At what point did you start seeing some gaps emerging in the operations or in decision making?
Well, to be very honest, having gone to Harvard and having done OPM, I was prepared for the long haul. So the gaps and the things did not emerge more so in anything else, but the wrong decisions, or the issues which I had of debt, high cost debt, and regulatory issues, which is what brought us down. in the first place, which is something which was in your control and something which was not. So it was basically decision making. But as far as gaps, there's something very interesting that I'd like to share is that, I focused on quality. And because I focused on quality, I never focused on the bottom line. I always said that the bottom line will follow. The quality, if you keep maintaining the quality, if you keep delivering something superior, it will pay you in the long term. So I always thought of the long term, and the vision that I had was that, if you see the VT building, if you see the BMC building, if you see, so many other buildings that the Britishers made, they have been around for 200, 300 years. And they somehow don't decay, they somehow don't leak, and still they are there. Why can't I make buildings which will last maybe 400 years? Why do buildings start falling within 40, 50 years and 60 years of what's being constructed today? So I started, kind of dwelling on those thoughts. And I said that whatever I make, I'll make for more than 200, 300 years. And that's what I'm doing.
You're still in the real estate industry, from what I gather from your
Yes.
initial response. How have you seen regulation evolve, ease of doing business evolve? Cost of capital, you said, was very high at Orbit. How has that changed today for someone who's in the real estate industry? Could you comment on that?
So I'll answer this in three parts. One is back then, the opportunities in real estate were less. So therefore, one would do lesser amount of projects, and each project would give you 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 10x returns based on the amount of capital that you've deployed. So the returns were unbelievable back then, but the opportunities were less. The amount of area that you could construct is less. Second part you asked about is the regulatory environment. The regulatory environment which is there, that is improved tremendously. Earlier, the regulatory environment was that you have to go see what is available, what is the law, and it was something that you had to kind of, evolve with the law which was there, and then understand what is there. But today, there's a lot of clarity, and with RERA coming in, Real Estate Regulatory Act, there is so much clarity. Trust me, whenever I go for a project approval and a RERA approval, it's equivalent to doing an IPO. The amount of disclosure which is required, the amount of information which is required to be given. The only information which is not there on the RERA website as compared to an IPO is your personal balance sheet. Barring that, it's as complex as getting doing an IPO. So therefore, RERA approval and the current regulatory regime, that's much better. But like you mentioned earlier, Mumbai is one of the most complex markets. Mumbai and New York, they are the most complex markets for real estate in the world. So if you have done real estate in Mumbai, you can actually do real estate anywhere. Yeah, the regulatory environment, although there's a lot of clarity, challenges still remain. There's something new that can pop up, and there are always the gray areas which will come and bite you. So you have to be prepared, and it takes a different kind of skill set to be a developer in Mumbai.
Do you feel title work is still a little muddled in India when it comes to acquiring and then trying to resell properties? A lot of people get stuck when they don't have clear title.
End of the day, if you're developing a property and if you're buying a piece of land, you have to know and you have to be clear as to how that title is going to be unchallenged. Because at the end of the day, if the title is not clear and if it gets challenged, you are going to suffer, your buyers are going to suffer, your investors are going to suffer, your banks are going to suffer who have financed you. So that is up to you. But today, because of the digitization, because of the availability of information on various websites, the quality of information which is now better, you're able to get a better title in a manner that whatever you are able to do, you're able to get to 100%. And you can get there faster because that information is available to you quicker. So title is a matter of your personal skill, and at the same time, title is required to be 100%, which is possible.
Do you think courts are still backlogged if a property developer has to go through litigation to clear up certain, let's say, title work or anything else on a property? Does that still take years and years, or do you think there's a fast track way now for cases to come to the front, for properties to be free and clear if need be, and for parties to move on?
So again, on a lighter note, I have an app for legal matters that I have. So I have a specific app that I follow, and there's a particular legal situation. But no, that's at my personal level. As far as the legality, as far as the issues, and as far as all the things that you're talking about, that really speaking is pretty okay. Today, you should know how to kind of get yourself out of a legal hole if you get into. If you're a successful real estate developer, most of them have found ways. And when I say have found ways, means legal solutions as to how the same can be solved and resolved. So, in my mind, the best way to resolve is to sit across the table and have a honest conversation with whoever is litigating with you and find a solution. Because even in the courts, I've seen you may litigate for 10 years. At the end of the day, if you have to find a commercial solution, you have to sit across with all the parties across the table, across with all the lawyers and find a solution. So, might as well, do that on the table before and then, kind of not waste 10 years on that one. To recap, legal situations are much simpler if you know your way around, and especially in a city like Mumbai.
What drove you to OPM at Harvard Business School?
Like I mentioned that after finishing my graduation at Sydenham, I was a commerce student. I got into business. I was in business thanks to my uncle at the age of 18. Then I was full time running a public listed food company along with my father. My father was also doing some real estate on the side. So I just got into it as soon as I got out of college in 1993, got married in 1994. And, I said that before becoming a bania and before becoming one of these, guys who have not done and pursued and got a master's, I said that let me try and do something. So I started looking for some courses, summer courses, this, that, this, that. And that's when I chanced upon OPM. And I said, wow. So you become a alumni of Harvard, you get to be a MBA, I call it an executive MBA equivalent because you're doing about almost what 400 case studies when we are
Mhm.
there as against 300 which is a full-time MBA. I said this is the best thing, and I think that's what changed me completely, my outlook, and I am so inspired to go again for a second round, and possibly you may find me in the class as soon as maybe next year, because it's been almost 24 years since I started my earlier OPM. So what they taught me then and what are the newer learnings, there would be so much more. And I really want to take advantage of what they have to offer. So I am most certainly inspired to go there again.
That's great to hear. I have one person in my cohort who's done OPM 15 years ago and came back because of the same reason.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's wonderful. But interestingly, I was one of the youngest OPMers. When I started OPM, I was only 29.
Wow.
So, but I had 10 years of experience below my belt. So therefore, I was able to imbibe a lot.
Pujit, how has your relationship with ambition changed over time as you've grown older, as you've matured more as well, gained more experience?
Wow. That's a question. Ambition, when I started out and when I was 30 years old, at that point of time, you were like, all encompassing and you wanted to like, rule the world and you want to be on top of this, that, and being part of a listed company, successful listed company, $1 billion market cap in 2006, 7. It was a great feeling. It was a great feeling. I thought, like, the world is too small. Maybe I have to go to the moon. I actually thought about the moon before Elon Musk. But with the hard knocks of life, with, time and maturity, things have tempered down a bit. I still feel I can go to the moon, but you're a bit more practical now. And you want to do it in a more sure footed manner rather than just be a little bit of a cowboy that I was back then. So I guess, yeah, the maturity has crept in, and there is more realism in one's pursuit.
And just building on that, how would you look at success today versus, 15 years ago? What would be your definition of success?
You know, it's very interesting that you ask that. Is back then success would mean just the amount of wealth that one would accumulate. But over the years, and with everything, my first point of success would be my relationships, whether it's my family or my friends. Second success would be my own health, spirituality, and then fourth will be wealth and business. So therefore, success certainly has different shades now as what it was 20, 25 years earlier.
How did you go about reinventing and rediscovering your purpose in life after the journey that you've had?
There is no rediscovery. It's just follow a certain path and keep soldiering on. And if you follow a certain path, keep soldiering on, be true to yourself, like Shakespeare says, then the world is yours.
Is there a book that has influenced your thinking or a book you'd like to talk to us about?
No, I don't read books, to be very honest. I'm a student of English literature also. And I'm very proud to say that one of my professors in college, he was with me till 2024. We lost him then, but he would come to me every weekend, and I would pursue my hobby of English literature with him. And most of my learnings of literature, prose, poetry, whatever, is because of him. And my realism is largely due to his teachings.
Great. Um, what advice would you give a 20-year-old self if you could speak to him today?
No, I would say keep soldiering on, keep dreaming, and be a realist. That's the only little difference that I would say, that be a little bit of a realist, and I would not hold myself back for anything different that I would have done. The only thing being is be a realist, less of a cowboy.
And Pujit, my last question is, any advice for founders who are starting out today? What questions should they ask themselves earlier, which they may not be doing during their journey?
So my suggestion to any founder would be is if you're in business and if you're an entrepreneur, you should have a steady flow of cash flows. That steady flow of cash flows is something that you have to secure yourself as your basic thing, which is your house, your office, your basic requirements, salaries, etc. So that that is not something that bogs you down. Once you have that set, then the balance, you can do whatever you want to do, whatever you're set out to do. Do not in any way or any other thought dilute yourself. In fact, I think you should continue to, soldier on and keep thinking and keep doing that you have originally thought, and keep building on that, because sometimes the most beautiful thoughts, the most beautiful workings are what is the original working and not diluted. And if you hear too many things which come from too many people and too many suggestions, etc., that really takes away from the original thought of an entrepreneur. So the founders, they should be true to themselves, and they should be true to that thought and continue to be that. But do not lose focus from the cash flow requirements, because sometimes if you lose focus from the cash flow requirements, then you get bogged down. But if that is secured and that's taken care of, they can actually think laterally and achieve what they set out.
Great, Fujit. That's all the questions I have for you. Thank you very
Lovely.
much for the conversation. I'm sure anyone who's listening has a lot of takeaways. So I appreciate that and thank you for your time.
Most welcome. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you, Sohan, and I look forward to many more in the future. Cheers. Thank you.